And so when that beautiful woman was saying things like, this is the devil and this is God, I absolutely knew where I stood in that. And that's what I'm sharing. Okay. Um, Neville says, and this resonates with me, it doesn't have to resonate with you. Okay. Neville said it, yes, but my soul agreed with what he said, which is that God is imagination. Okay. God is imagination. Now let's consider that. Is all imaginings good by our assessment, by our judgment? Is it all good? Right? And I think about people who are asking, how can God allow this? And some people very quickly say, well, that's not God, that's the devil, right? But even still, you hear the question, why would God allow for such turmoil and such tragedy? And this is how I make sense of it. This is what makes sense. This isn't justification. This is what makes sense to me. God just is. Welcome. Welcome back. I'm excited. Um, I'm excited. I was inspired to make this video by a video that I watched. I watched this video that was titled some certain amount of signs that who you're hearing or listening to isn't God, or something like that. Something like some amount of signs, let's say 4 signs that God is not the one that is talking to you. And yeah, so before we get into it, I want to say a quick prayer. I want to say a quick intention, same thing, because this is important to me. And I want y'all to know where I'm coming from. And I want you to kind of, for us both, to be primed for this conversation. Mother, Father, Creator, we thank you so much for bringing us together. We thank you for companionship, connection, and the opportunity to raise each other up, lift each other up, offer our wisdom to others who are needing it. I am delivering this message from such a great state of clarity and love. My intentions are to assist, offer support, not to control. I ask that if this is not the right time for the viewer to be watching this, that there be a divine interruption, and that is perfectly okay. We come together and we understand that Source is all things, and that Source knows how to bring people together, how to bring information to others. And I am not allowing my fear of disrupting others to get in the way of my speaking and others receiving. We thank you for all things, and that the information that is needed at this time is easily digested, even if the position of the viewer, whom I love so much, is in opposition to what it is that I'm saying. There is room for disagreement and growth. And so my intentions are made clear. Amen, Ashe. I didn't realize at the time of me naming this channel Mani's Labyrinth that that this it really is the way that I think and that I process. It does kind of require you to be in a space where you're willing to walk with me, and walk through that inner world of mine in order for that message to what's the word, translate, come out. So I'm gonna fill in a little bit before we get into this. How do you know if it's God that's talking to you? Because that is the inspiration for this video. I have a response to that. And before I get into some filling you in on where I've been these past couple of days, the woman who created the video, I'm a subscriber. I absolutely love and adore her. I think that, you know, she's a religious creator, okay? But there's something for us even in that. And so, you know, while it really did help me to hear her, to be able to feel where I am in my truth, okay? So, and we'll see when this video actually comes out. We'll see how ready I am to let you know me this way. Today is May 7th, 2026, and May 5th, I was in such a very high state, but not emotionally high. To me, a very high state actually doesn't feel emotional. It feels clear. It feels silent and light, but not like excited, not euphoria, you know. So I was in a good place, very good place, a standard place for me on the 5th. Towards the end of the 5th, leading into the 6th of May, I got the opportunity to, some might say, face a demon. I wouldn't say that. Where I was I had returned to a very lived in identity. Okay. I was very excited about an opportunity. I was very excited about something happening a very specific way. And by the end of that day, it didn't work out the way that I wanted. Again. Okay. And so the identity that came up was anger, frustration, a tantrum of sorts, but not tears, but just kind of like, okay, where I was, just speaking plainly, I was so very, like, the identity is a sore loser identity. I was so very annoyed, frustrated, irritated with myself that I wasn't able to experience this thing that, leading up to this moment, I had received many signs, confirmations that this is what it was going to be. Now let me back up. I got to be very transparent and honest. I had received all of these signs, but part of that identity, part of this unconscious pattern or loop, is that when I receive these signs, it makes me anxious. It moves me from a state of knowing and certainty and calm authority to waiting, anticipating, doubting, fearing. Okay, so that's going on underneath. And I'm really just kind of experiencing these emotions, but also being the observer in the situation. I can tell that I'm not I'm not in the state of having this thing. I can tell that I'm not believing in this. And so what really got me, the part of me that needed to be released was that aspect of me that was annoyed with me being frustrated, annoyed with me feeling those feelings. Okay. Annoyed that um after, you know what I'm saying, 8 years on this, return to self and to authorship and sovereignty, I'm still disappointed. And so where I really got caught up, okay, it pulled me into such a state of confusion. And so as part of this identity, as a trait that belongs to this state, I turned to YouTube and I was looking for some signs because I was confused. Okay. And so that's where I was. Now, the cool to me, is that I got cold symptoms yesterday, where it was like it was all in here. It was in the throat chakra, the solar plexus, okay, and intense headaches, okay, migraines, all right. And I was really I was going through the motions. We were moving through. I was able to recognize that really the thing that was um happening to me, the thing that was of most importance, is that I recognize that I was not in a perspective that is in alignment with who I truly am, that I was outside of that perspective for the time. But I was able to feel and to know on a level that this happened for a reason, that I needed to let go. I needed to let go of the perspective. I just knew this. So I'm feeling these intense, and I mean, I've had, what's the word? I've had pneumonia before. If you've had pneumonia, you'll know that it is a very, like, it's an intense contraction of your rib cage in that area. And so there were moments while I was feeling this where I felt like my voice was going to go away and the headaches, and I felt very tight. Okay. And I'm very, I'm very rehearsed at spiritual authorship. And so what that means is that I assume the best. That's all that means. And I'm very comfortable assuming the best. All right. So when that was happening, I didn't feel like, in the past, I would have felt like I'm doing something wrong. I knew at some point after a day of feeling these intense things that I said, oh, my body is processing something old. My body is trying to release something here, and I need to be um, patient, cooperative, compassionate, and I need to really listen. And I'm doing all this, mind you, while taking care of a home, raising 3 boys, you know what I mean? And so it wasn't perfect, but at the same time I was able to hear and I was able to know, like, okay, this is something that cannot go forward with me. Not the desire itself, but the way that I'm looking at this, the way the needing for it to work out exactly the way I want to, like that identity, that energy is actually interfering. And it is creating such a state of confusion, which led me to go, you know what I mean? Seek outside, outside things, you know what I mean? Outside words. Okay. So I'm feeling all these things. I have the knowing that it's been given to me that this is processing. You had to go through this because this is in the way. Okay. The things that you're about to be feeling. Oh, not fun. No, wasn't fun. Um, but I did understand that this was so very temporary. I knew I wasn't going to be sick today. I knew that it wasn't actually a cold, but rather something that cannot live inside of me anymore. And I saw that my body, okay, my body wanted to help me. I'm going to do a video about anxiety and sensation soon. I promise. But my body wanted to help me. All of me wants to help me release this because this is the thing that's getting in the way for me. Okay. And so, but I had watched this video at about 3 a.m. this morning. And so I'm going to give that's the background. We were processing some important things and I was able to hear that, but there was still some fog. There was still some confusion. So I watched this video at 3 o'clock this morning, and when I watched it, I just heard it so very clearly. Everything she was saying was kind of like, because it's from this. So yes, I am all things. I believe that I'm all things with the assignment, the assumption of it being good. Okay. Um, I'm not religious, but I absolutely believe in God, source creator. I absolutely believe in Jesus Christ um, as a concept that is alive and well living within me. I take the esoteric interpretation of the Bible. I love the Bible. I reference it often. I read scriptures, but I read it from this esoteric lens. Some of my teachers that I look to for, that guide me on interpreting the Bible would be Rev Ike, number one, and Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy too, but Joseph Murphy, he's got whatever, but Neville Goddard and Rev Ike for sure. Okay, and and so when that beautiful woman was saying things like, "This is the devil and this is God," I absolutely knew where I stood in that, and that's what I'm sharing. Okay. Um, Neville says, and this resonates with me, it doesn't have to resonate with you. Okay. Neville said it, yes, but my soul agreed with what he said, which is that God is imagination. Okay. God is imagination. Now let's consider that. Is all imaginings good by our assessment, by our judgment? Is it all good? Right? And I think about people who are asking, how can God allow this? And some people very quickly say, well, that's not God, that's the devil, right? But even still, you hear the question, why would God allow for such turmoil and such tragedy? And this is how I make sense of it. This is what makes sense. This isn't justification. This is what makes sense to me. God just is. We look at the animal kingdom for help here. Okay. I love me a good National Geographic. I love me a good, you know what I'm saying? Let's look in the ocean. Let's look at the Sahara. Okay. Let's watch the animals. Let's look at the insect world. Okay. The animal kingdom, whether in terms of hierarchy, put it below us or not, they're magnificent. Okay. The animal kingdom is, whew, okay, miraculous, magnificent. But let's look at the way that they do families. Not all of them raise families the way humans are in some parts of the world legally bound to. You know what I mean? There's a lot of incest, a lot of weird things happen in the animal kingdom, right? So is God not there? No, of course. God just is. All right. And our dominion over the animals is more about our capabilities, what we can do that they cannot. Okay. And this is where, for me, Jesus Christ comes in. Okay. The Christ consciousness. All right. God just is all things. God is in the one that is um, taking the path of, criminal activity. God is taking the path of addiction, and all of us might think, why would God want that? Life wants to be expressed. We, within our own minds and hearts, have this this judgment center, right? Our values, our core beliefs that create this is good and this is bad. And they're not all the same. They're not all apples to apples. In some cultures, okay, tattoos and piercings and modifications to the body are holy, right? In other parts of the world, it's not, right? And that judgment, in my opinion, isn't God. God just is. For the Akashic records, you might have heard it being said in that way. For just the experience of expression, right? So when I'm very, very happy, God is there living in that. But God is also when I am in the shadows, when I am feeling, dormant or stagnant, trying to find a way out, right? And so going back to Jesus Christ, Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is the choice to imagine well, to imagine answers, to imagine solutions. It is the decision for the best possible outcome. It is the decision that it's not over. It is the decision that love trumps all. It is the judgment of good. So it's like you can manifest terrible things or great things. But Jesus Christ is the choice in us to be bigger than we were, to experience a greater thing, to see something that is impossible and to go with it and to believe in that. It is using our imagination for what we deem as good for ourselves or someone else, right? The whole golden rule. Why is this perspective important? It helps you to see. It helps you to understand things more clearly. It gets rid of the confusion, okay? It gets rid of the things that cloud our mind, that interfere, you know what I mean? That causes us to doubt ourselves, right? The premise of that video that I watched was basically saying it's bad to want. And it was demonizing what is natural, what comes out naturally in us, desire and all of that, and basically saying that that's not God. God is everything. Okay? And Jesus Christ is the choice to believe in yourself, that you can do it. You can have it. It's yours. It's what you imagined. It is that what you imagined is so very true. And The fact that you imagined it is evidence that Mother, Father, Creator, right? Christ consciousness gave it to you. It is given to you. But we get confused, right? Our emotions and our interpretations, our assignments and our judgments get in the way of knowing if a thing is for us. It interferes. And we get confused, and then we go seek the counsel of someone who also doesn't have it. Who's, who also, you know what I mean? Not to sound, but just saying, we'll go and seek the counsel of someone who's bitter or who's settled or yada, yada, yada. Okay. So I'm going to give an example of how I apply this. Okay. I have a client, my dearest client, and she was going through something in her relationship. She had been in this relationship, and there was this point where, they when you're in a relationship, you're together for whatever amount of time, and that's your closest mirror. Okay. So there's bound to be a lot of good things and a lot of negative things that are mirrored back to you, but it's serving you if you choose that. Okay. If you choose to grow and see we won't get into that. That's a whole different video. So anyways, so they had been growing together, and she had been hearing, um, should I stay in this relationship? She had been getting mixed signals, she said, of, she was able to perception is everything, that she was seeing one path that said, it's time for you to leave this situation, that this person is holding you back. And then she was receiving, strong signs that she's to stay, right? That this is the best thing, that it's going to get better, that it's going to be better than she imagined, okay? And so she came asking me, what is the right thing to do? Because I'm so confused. And I told her, you're confused because you don't know what you want. There's no wrong choice. And Abraham Esther Hicks, they talk about this as well. It's like, you can't get it wrong. It's not a wrong choice. You're just choosing who you are. And you have to know what it is that you want. And so I told her that it isn't one path is leading you to destruction and the other path is leading you to the promised land. You are loved and supported, and all the good things that are for you is at either end. We don't need to decide right now if there is an already charted course. That's adding more confusion. Just accept and understand that you can't get it wrong, and that all that is for you at the end of either choice. One path is not without problems. Let's be real. Like, one path is not the easy one or the right one. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not looking at it like, which one is going to be like the easiest and have the least amount of problems and guarantee me the most success. It's like, baby, it's you. You gonna have that. That's for you. You have the lived in relationship with God, your God, and you know what I mean? You have the right intentions, you believe in yourself, you're healing, you're gonna have it. There isn't a wrong choice. You have to ask the question, who am I? Who do I want to be? What is it that I want? And so, because her concern and her fear was making the wrong choice. And I said, what you're saying to me is that you are imagining good things for one, and bad things for the other. It's not right or wrong. It is what you are imagining. It is what you are calling God to do. It is the picture that you have. And all that that reveals is what you are believing. It does not reveal what is right. What you do is right no matter what you do. So long as what you really are concerned with is that I'm choosing from a place that is authentic to me, that resonates with where I am right now. And that's enough. And it's going to be, okay? So don't make the choice to, obviously, if you're in a messed up relationship or a messed up situation, trust yourself. You know what I'm saying? But you get it. I know you do. It's received. All that you're revealing is that I have a lot of beliefs against this path, and I have a lot of beliefs for this path. And that's why we will move that way. Water does this, right? It's not going to climb the mountain when it can go around. And so, going back to, is God talking to you? Yes, because God just is. Christ consciousness is the choice, that it will work out either way. There is no wrong choice. I am always divinely guided. I'm never going to choose a path that isn't going to grow me. There's going to be growth on either side. God is not telling her to leave him or staying with him. God is saying, what do you want? How is this going to go? If you stay, what is that like? If you leave, what is that like? See, some of us imagine a very emotional God. Some of us imagine a God that sounds like grandma and them or auntie. You know what I mean? And has very strong judgments. But then it's contradicting when you look at it from that perspective, because then there's no judgment. The laws of the universe are perfect and impersonal. You know what I mean? And so if you stayed and you were in alignment with that choice and you were seeing it through the lens of Christ, and you were imagining the best for you and for them. If you can't do that, then the easier way is around the mountain. You know what I mean? And so it just depends on who you want to be. Do you need easy right now? It wouldn't matter. You're not going to avoid what you're here to get. It'll show up in the next job, the next opportunity, the next person, the next roommate. You will not bypass it. So it really truly doesn't matter. We don't have time to be confused about what it is that we want. If we know that we want and that we can have it, that we are supported and loved by the universe, right? This is why you can Google, go on YouTube, and you can search, and you're gonna get as good and as bad. Like, you're gonna get both sides, because it's like, pick one. But don't pick the thing that you are not in alignment with. You don't want to be like covering your eyes like, oh Lord, I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one because I'm a good Christian woman, or I'm a good spiritual woman, but you don't believe it's gonna work out, you know? So is it, the devil that is talking to you? That's for you to decide. That is up to you. That is a judgment. I could have last night looked at what was happening to me and said, I'm being punished. Because it was on that level. It was intense. I mean, I felt like it felt like when I had pneumonia, could not breathe, but also could breathe. I felt like I was being supported in this release. It was kind of like in my lungs, part of it was being held for breathing, and the other part was like circulating. And it was so cool too. There was a moment where I was lying there, and I was just, very calm, not afraid, no panic. But I mean, there was a time where that level of physical sensations and experience would have freaked me out, would have been at the hospital. And I felt this shift. I felt this movement in my heart space. And what happened was like it moved up and it was released. And I felt so free. I felt like I wasn't longing anymore. My desire, I know, is a gift from God. Me longing for it is gone. That's not my job. That's none of my business. You know what I mean? So is God talking to you? Absolutely. Absolutely, that is God. Unless you assign them meaning that you can be led astray, you can't claim divine guidance. And, you know, I'm gonna leave this here. I know that this conversation is not done. I invite you to interact, engage in the comment section. What are you going through? Where do you find that you stand with this? What is your truth? There's room for us all to have it. I can be the only one who believes this because I'm the only one that's got to live inside me. And it feels so great to not have to have the pressure of believing that I could be misled. I want to thank you so much. It means everything that we can connect like this on this level, that we can have these kinds of conversations. I send out love over you and all the situations, and I know that it is already done. It's all worked out. If it is on your heart to support me and to support this channel, you already know what to do. I invite you to check out other videos and look at the description. And come back. Come back. Come talk with me again real soon. Be well.